I work reception at a beachside hotel in Sydney. Last month, an American guest called the front desk at midnight. He was furious. Someone broke into my room and stole my towels. I rushed upstairs, concerned about security. He pointed at the bathroom. They were right there this morning. 4 towels. Now there's only 2. I explained housekeeping replaced wet towels with fresh ones. He stared at me. Without asking? That's illegal entry. I want the police called. I tried explaining this was standard service. He interrupted. In America, we have privacy laws. You can't just walk into someone's room. I pointed to the sign on his door explaining daily housekeeping. He'd hung the Do Not Disturb sign backward, the side that actually requested service. He'd been accidentally inviting housekeeping in for 3 days while complaining they were stalking him. The next morning, he asked why his coffee came without cream. I explained Australian cafes use milk. He said that was false advertising because the menu said flat white. He'd assumed it meant white coffee, as in with cream. He left a review saying we served deceptive beverages. Welcome to Australia, where Americans discover their rulebook doesn't apply. These are real stories from locals who watch tourists confidently misunderstand everything about our culture. Working hospitality in Melbourne taught me Americans have strong opinions about how restaurants should operate. A woman sat down at our cafe and immediately asked for the manager's special section. I was confused. She pointed at the empty table beside her. The VIP area. I saw it's reserved. I explained that table was simply unoccupied. She insisted she'd been told about reserved sections online. I told her we don't do reservations for lunch. She pulled out her phone, showing me a Google review mentioning reserved tables. That review was from a dinner service 6 months ago. She demanded to sit at the reserved table anyway because that's what TripAdvisor promised. I seated her there. She left a 3-star review complaining our VIP section wasn't very VIP. An American man in Brisbane asked our bartender why we didn't have proper iced tea. Our bartender offered him iced lemon tea from the menu. He said that wasn't real iced tea. Real iced tea is sweet tea, like from restaurants. Our bartender explained that in Australia, iced tea typically means unsweetened. He replied, "But tea is supposed to be sweet. That's how it's made." When she suggested he could add sugar, he seemed offended. That's not the same. The sugar has to be dissolved while it's brewing. It's a chemical process. She offered to make him a custom sweet tea. He watched her brew it, add sugar, then stir. He tasted it and announced, "This isn't authentic. You made it wrong." She asked what was wrong with it. He thought for a moment. "It doesn't taste like the South." He ordered a Coke instead. Before leaving, he told her, "Y'all should really learn how to make tea properly." I was bartending in Perth when an American couple arrived for dinner. They studied the menu for 15 minutes, then called me over. The woman asked, "Do you do modifications?" I said of course. She handed me a list written on hotel stationery. She'd documented 17 changes to a chicken dish. Different vegetables, sauce on the side, no garlic, extra lemon, substitute potatoes for the rice but make them crispy not soft, and could the chicken be grilled but not charred, seasoned but not spicy, juicy but not oily. I took the list to our chef. He looked at it and said, "This isn't a modification. This is a completely different meal." I returned and gently explained some requests weren't possible. She seemed shocked. But the customer is always right. I explained our chef works with fresh ingredients and specific preparations. Her husband jumped in. In America, restaurants customize everything. That's literally what service means. I offered to suggest dishes closer to her preferences. She cut me off. We didn't fly 12,000 miles to be told no. They ordered the chicken exactly as written on the menu. When it arrived, she ate 3 bites, then asked, "Can you remake this with my changes?" It was now 9 p.m. We had 20 tables. I politely declined. They left, telling other diners we had communist-style service. I work at a cinema in Darwin. An American tourist bought tickets for a 7 p.m. showing. He arrived at 6:45 and walked straight into the theater. I stopped him, explaining he needed to wait until the previous screening ended. He looked at his ticket. "It says 7. It's almost 7. That means I can go in." I explained sessions need cleaning time between showings. He argued, "But I paid for 7 p.m. That means the room is mine at 7. I clarified his session started at 7, not his access to the room. He insisted this was splitting hairs, and in America, if you pay for a time, you get that space at that time. I told him he could wait in the lobby for 10 minutes. He refused. "I'm not waiting when I paid to be here now. Get the other people out faster." I explained the film hadn't finished yet. He checked his watch. "Then you sold me a false time. The movie should have been scheduled earlier, so it ends before 7. I offered him a refund. He declined. "I want what I paid for, access at 7 exactly." He stood at the door until 7 p.m. sharp, then walked in the second his watch changed, stepping over staff cleaning popcorn. He complained the floor was dangerously slippery from just being mopped. I drive an Uber in Adelaide. An American tourist got in and immediately started navigating using his phone. He told me to take Highway 5 to the coast. I said we don't have a Highway 5 in Adelaide. He showed me his GPS, which was set to miles and had loaded California highways. He insisted his phone couldn't be wrong because he'd paid for international data. I explained his phone was using American map data. He said, "Maps are maps. Roads are roads." I started driving the correct route. He kept interrupting. "This isn't Highway 5. You're going the wrong way." I tried explaining Australian roads have different names and numbers. He responded, "That doesn't make sense. Highways are numbered sequentially. That's universal." I asked if he'd changed his GPS settings to Australia. He said he didn't need to because GPS works everywhere the same. When we arrived, he gave me 3 stars. His review said I refused to follow basic directions and didn't understand how highways work. An American woman in Canberra asked me for directions to the main government building. I work at Parliament House, so I said she was standing in front of it. She looked confused. "No, the one with the dome. The Capitol building." I explained that's the US Capitol. She insisted every country has a Capitol building with a dome. "It's a government thing." I showed her our Parliament House, modern, built into a hill, no dome. She stared at it. "That's not official looking enough. Where's the real one?" I promised her this was it. She walked away muttering, "They must keep the real one secret." 20 minutes later, she returned. I asked 4 people. "Everyone says this is it. Are you all in on something?" I pulled up photos of Parliament House online. She studied them, then said, "Why would you design it like that? Government buildings are supposed to look like government buildings." I asked what that meant. She said, "You know, columns, domes, old." I explained Australia became independent in 1901, so our buildings reflect modern architecture. She replied, "That's still old enough for columns." She took 1 photo and left. I manage a pharmacy in Hobart. An American man walked in holding a prescription from his US doctor. He handed it to me and said, "I need this filled now. I'm flying out tomorrow." I explained Australian pharmacies can't fill American prescriptions without approval from an Australian doctor. He interrupted, "It's signed by a doctor. That's all you need." I clarified that medical regulations are country-specific. He pulled out his phone. I looked this up before coming. It said pharmacies in English-speaking countries accept US prescriptions. I asked where he read that. He said, A travel blog. I gently explained that blogs aren't medical law. He raised his voice. This is my medication. I need it to function. You're violating my medical rights. I offered to help him book an emergency GP appointment. He refused. I already saw a doctor. That's why I have a prescription. Seeing another one is double paying. I explained that Australian doctors need to verify his medical history. He said that was bureaucratic nonsense, and American prescriptions are internationally recognized because America invented modern medicine. I suggested he contact his travel insurance. He claimed he didn't need insurance for basic human rights like filling prescriptions. He left, shouting that Australian healthcare was a scam designed to overcharge Americans. I work at a post office in Cairns. An American woman wanted to mail a package back to Texas. I weighed it and told her the cost. She froze. That's 3 times what I pay at home. I explained international shipping costs more than domestic. She insisted I was overcharging. It's the same distance as California to New York. That's the same size as going to America. I pulled out a world map, showing her Australia to America is across an entire ocean. She studied it. But on my phone map, if I zoom out, they look close together. I explained map scaling doesn't represent actual distance. She disagreed. I can see both countries on one screen. That means they're near each other. I told her the package would travel over 10,000 kilometers. She demanded I prove it. I showed her the shipping route on our computer. She said, "That's taking the long way. Why not go straight?" I explained planes and ships follow specific routes, crossing the Pacific Ocean. She seemed annoyed. In America, we have direct shipping. You should ask your government to make a shorter route. I processed her package. She asked, "How long will this take?" I said 7 to 10 business days. She looked horrified. That's longer than Amazon Prime. This is worse than third world shipping. I explained that international post isn't Amazon. She replied, "Jeff Bezos figured it out. Maybe Australia should hire him." She paid reluctantly, telling me, "You'd get more business if you moved closer to America." I work at a surf shop on the Gold Coast. An American family came in to rent board. The father asked what time the ocean closed. I thought he was joking. He wasn't. He wanted to know our beach's operating hours. I explained the ocean doesn't close, it's always open. He seemed annoyed. There has to be someone in charge. Who manages safety? I mentioned lifeguards patrol during daylight. He asked, "What about at night? Who's responsible if something happens?" I said people swim at their own risk after hours. His wife looked alarmed. That's dangerous. In America, beaches close for safety. I explained that in Australia, beaches are public spaces without gates or closing times. He insisted this was negligent. Someone has to be liable. That's basic law. I told him the government posts warning signs, but ultimately, people are responsible for their own safety. He shook his head. That's the most Australian thing I've ever heard. Just let people drown without supervision. I clarified that lifeguards work during peak hours and we have excellent water safety education. He cut me off. But not at night. So technically, you admit the beach is dangerous at night. I agreed swimming at night is risky. He seemed satisfied. Exactly. So it should be closed. I tried explaining you can't close the ocean. He replied, "You can close access to it. Gate. Fences. That's what responsible countries do." I gave up and processed his rental. As they left, I heard him tell his kids, "Remember, no swimming after dark." The beach isn't supervised because Australia doesn't believe in safety regulations. Living in Australia means watching Americans discover that not everywhere operates on American logic. They arrive expecting familiarity and leave confused that we have our own way of doing things. Most eventually adapt and enjoy the differences. Some write angry blogs about how we've organized our entire country incorrectly. Either way, we'll be here, drinking our flat whites, living without safety gates around the ocean, and wondering why anyone needs 17 modifications to a chicken dish. If you're planning to visit Australia, maybe double-check that your GPS is set to the right continent. And remember, the ocean never closes, towels get replaced daily, and our Parliament House doesn't need a dome to be official.